This is Lisa from Mobile Tech Review, and this is the Dell Precision 3540. This is what they would call an entry-level mobile workstation. I call it one of those tweener ones. You get dedicated graphics, but this has Intel U-Series Ultrabook 4-core CPUs instead of the 45-watt mobile workstation 6-core CPUs we usually see. It's quite affordable for the starting price. We'll talk more about that, but it starts at $719. It's 15.6 inches, has a very comfy keyboard. We're going to look at it now. So I've said it before, I personally am a little bit baffled by the concept of the sort of hybrid mobile workstation. Yes, it's lighter. Yes, it's sometimes thinner. This one not so much. But you're giving up on the horsepower for the CPU. So mobile workstation, not in the conventional sense you're going to run at this and do 3D renders and Blender and video editing and all the other demanding things you would do with a very powerful laptop. But in this case, it's really geared to those who are doing 2D CAD work. And, you know, simple to moderate designs, not super detailed 2D models, but you get the idea there. And spreadsheet jockeys, those who need some computational and a little help from the DGPU. Speaking of that, other than the entry-level model, which has only Intel UHD 620 graphics, that totally wouldn't be a mobile workstation anymore, would it? Well, all the other configurations happily have what we have, which is the AMD Radeon Pro WX2100 with 2 gigabytes of GDDR5 VRAM. So, if for those of you who are not as familiar with AMD, that's their version of NVIDIA Quadro. So it's workstation level, CAD certified kind of drivers, stable, that sort of thing. But this is really at the very bottom of the barrel, very entry level. So again, that's why this is more for 2D CAD work. For those of you who are familiar with AMD's more consumer-oriented GPUs, it's like the 540X GPU in the more consumer-oriented one. So it's a bit faster than Intel Iris graphics, but that's about as much as you can say for it. We have Intel 8th generation U-Series Ultrabook CPUs, like I said. Why 8th gen and not 10th gen? Because they're still waiting for vPro to come out in 10th gen, and on these business laptops, vPro is important to some of the customers. So you have your choice of Core i5 and Core i7 CPUs with and without vPro. That's up to you as to whether you want that. That base model, and they're calling this a mobile workstation, has 4 gigs of RAM and a 500 gig hard drive and a Core i5. So obviously, probably other than IT departments looking to check the boxes and get laptops on desks, probably that's not the configuration you would choose for yourself. Ours is not as top of the line as you can get, but it's pretty top of the line. It has Intel Core i7 inside, a full HD matte non-touch display with 100% sRGB color gamut coverage, 16 gigs of RAM, and a 512 gig M.2 NVMe SSD. If you opt for the M.2 NVMe SSD, you get the bigger 68 watt-hour battery. If you opt for that 2.5-inch hard drive, then you get a smaller 51 watt-hour battery because there's just not enough room otherwise, because the hard drive takes up more space. That full HD display, believe it or not, is the top-of-the-line option. It's actually not a bad one. There's pretty good contrast on it. Again, full sRGB coverage, so no complaints about that, non-touch. But the base model is 1366 by 768, so what we commonly call 720p. And that one has 45% of sRGB coverage. Yeah. The weight on this is pretty good. It's just a tiny bit over 4 pounds, which is 1.83 kilograms. It's about 20.35 millimeters thick, so skinny it ain't. Of course, that's good for heat dissipation, and it leaves room for all those internal components. That's not bad. Since it is a workstation / business level laptop, it's pretty easy to open this up, Phillips head screws. You have 2 RAM slots inside, so maximum is 32 gigs according to Dell, and you have 2 RAM slots, good. And again, we have the M.2 slot with a fast Samsung drive inside. If you went for the hard drive, you'd have a different configuration with the battery. It says Intel Wi-Fi inside with Bluetooth 5, and you can see all the specs on screen for what's available, and a fingerprint scanner. Smart card reader is optional because, well, again, business-oriented laptop. The other positive thing about this is that you get a lot of ports for a 15.6-inch, almost ultra-booky kind of laptop. You have things like Ethernet, HDMI, 3 USB-A 3.1 ports, USB-C with optional Thunderbolt 3. There's 2 different chargers you can get with this. One is a barrel pin connector. I would recommend that because we have the 90-watt, they're both 90-watt, USB-C charger, and you're taking up your only USB-C port. when you're charging, which isn't ideal. So in this case, I would order it with a barrel pin. There's also a micro SD card slot for content creators out there, though again, this really isn't for photo or video editors, so I'm not sure how super important that is. Keyboard, and this is backlit in white, and as you can see, we have a number pad on board, but they've given us a large trackpad and centered it well. It doesn't feel cramped. Sometimes 15-inch laptops feel less than ideal typing when you have a number pad there. I like the feel of the keyboard. It feels a little old school, a little cushy, but in a good kind of way with decent key travel. It's nice. It's not like some consumer laptops that really compromise on the keyboard experience. Precision trackpad on this is quite good, and there's an eraser stick style track pointer if you like that sort of thing. Battery life is the other good thing about this laptop. The 68 watt-hour battery that we have, well, that's pretty ample for something that is essentially an ultrabook with really low-end dedicated graphics. And battery life on this, especially thanks to the fact that we're talking a full HD display, not 4K, which isn't even available. You know, we're not pushing this battery too hard here. And battery life for us, running in our usual productivity and streaming video mixed kind of test with brightness set to 150 nits, it was about 11 hours. That is quite good. Build quality on this, well, this is entry level. They do have precisions that rival the XPS line for quality metal, all that nice stuff. This is your genuine plastic laptop, but it's kind of nice looking. It has clean lines on it. It's, well, obviously it's black, and the bezels on it aren't too big. There's not a lot of keyboard flexing going on here. You can deform the lid if you push on it, so I don't spend my days pushing on lids, but I know some of you really hate that. Speakers on this are actually kind of surprisingly good. They have reasonable volume and bass fitting of a 15-inch laptop. Let's put it that way. It's not going to blow you away if you're watching the latest movie with big boomy sound effects, but it's pretty good for a business laptop. It's quite easy to get inside. Just unscrew the Phillips head screws. They're all visible. Use a guitar pick to pop off the bottom. It's really actually easy to take it off. These are the speaker slots, by the way. Plenty of ventilation here. Not that a laptop of this class needs so much ventilation. And then here it is. And this is the underside with shielding on it. And there are internals, our big 68 watt-hour battery. If you went for the hard drive option, well, it would be running across here this way, but we obviously have the M.2 SSD, which is mounted right over here under this heatsink. We have the Intel Wi-Fi card here. It's the 9560 AC, 2 RAM slots, and a single fan, and our CPU and GPU under the single large heat pipe. So, single fan means obviously this can't make too much noise, and it doesn't. Honestly, I mean, you're looking at ultrabook internals with a low-end GPU, so it's not going to get loud and it's not going to get very hot to the touch, particularly since it's kind of thick and it's plastic, not metal. Plastic doesn't get as hot as metal. So yeah, it's definitely a chill laptop, literally. Now in benchmarks, I noticed that the AMD GPU went up into the low 90s centigrade. Unlike NVIDIA cards that typically are capped at around 75, this one will run hotter, but it's nothing that I'm worried about. This the way AMD has apparently set up the card to run. CPU temperatures were better than average on this for our benchmarking. So that's the Dell Precision 3540, a 15.6-inch so-called entry-level mobile workstation, and it is indeed very entry-level. But for those of you who are out there in the IT department and you're buying stuff for those who are doing heavy-duty spreadsheets, some 2D CAD work while on the go, again, not the most complex 2D design you can think of, but something moderate, well, it does fit the bill. It's pretty rugged. It has a lot of ports, and the battery life is quite nice, too. I'm Lisa from Mobile Tech Review. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more cool tech videos and hit that notification bell.